Hey there, and welcome to lesson 1 of chapter 10, where we'll talk about the election day and night and what you can expect from that day and what you can be doing more from a timeline perspective. But before we jump into that timeline, just wanted to take a second and congratulate you guys for making it this far in the course. But to take a step back, something so much bigger than this course is that you've actually done this, that you have run for office, you've built a campaign, you've put yourself out there. That is a huge risk and a huge amount of work. And I want you to feel really proud of yourself for doing that. And I'm willing to bet that in addition to me being so proud of you guys for doing this, that a big chunk of your community is really proud of you, and a big chunk of your friends and family are probably so proud of you too. Whether you win or lose this election, you're probably gonna win. I bet your friends and family are feeling mighty, mighty proud of you. And maybe you haven't quite thought of it this way, but I just want you to know that in creating this campaign and running for office, that you have literally made history. Your name and your actions in your campaign have permanently made changes to your community. It's probably gotten people to think about issues in a different way than they would have before, and maybe inspired someone to treat their neighbor a little bit better. Who knows how many outcomes have been because of you and your efforts out there in your campaign. And of course, technically, you'll be in history books of your community for running for this office, but it's so much more than that. And that's because of you, and that's because you've taken this risk and you've gone out there and put yourself out there and done this. So bravo to you. And in addition to that, history making, you've probably also inspired a whole lot of people, inspired them to want to run for office as well. Maybe someone said, hey, like if Jonathan was able to do this, if Carol was able to do this, if Chris was able to do this, then maybe this is something that I should think about too. Maybe I would be good for office. Maybe a little kid saw your campaign and thought, hey, if they could do that right here in, Anytown, USA, maybe I can be president one day. Who knows how much inspiration you have been to your community and the people around you. And on a much, much larger note, I just wanted to take a second and just give my personal little spiel here. It's really a philosophical perspective, but it's my firm belief that participatory democratic institutions, participatory democratic governments have been transformational to our planet and to humanity. There is plenty of data that shows at the point when mankind organized into communities, there's a huge decrease in violence. Before people were living in communities, more like hunter-gatherer stage, there was mass carnage. People killed each other like crazy. And then another huge shift when mankind, as organized into communities, created participatory democratic government that was like of the people, by the people, for the people, to take our American words. And with that, another huge decrease in violence among people, huge drops in increase in violence. So by you running for office, I know this sounds like a bit cheesy, guys, but I 100% mean it. By you running for office, you are strengthening participatory democratic institutions, and thereby you are perpetuating something that has created very significant, very real change in the arc of humanity that has been toward a more peaceful, a more prosperous planet. And that's something that you should be super proud of. And it's not something that I describe lightly. It's not something I'm doing as, just to be cheesy here as a way to round out this course. I really, really mean it. And I personally cannot thank you enough for that. So, all right, let's move on to what you're actually gonna do on election day and night. So, morning, give yourself a good congratulations, like, wow, I actually did this, and go vote for yourself. That's the first thing that you got to do. So as soon as your polls open, go and vote for yourself. Don't do any of that nonsense about voting for the other guy. We're not doing that. You're voting for yourself. This might be a tight race. I don't know what you're running for, but it could come down to some very few votes. So get out there and go vote for yourself. I have a little picture here of Leslie Knope from the TV show Parks and Rec. Leslie Knope was, I feel like she was like an aunt or like a cousin. When that show ended, I felt like I lost someone that I loved. So go and vote for yourself. Make sure to take lots of photos, post it on social media. It's part of your GOTV efforts that we were just talking about in the last chapter. If you can, go live on Facebook in the polling booth when you vote for yourself. Definitely check in with your precinct worker. I'm not sure if you're allowed to or not. And then if you can't, then right after you vote, go live on Facebook. All what we were talking about in the last chapter with GOTV, get out the vote. Live videos on Facebook are prioritized by their algorithms and such, and that's the way that most people are gonna see it. So go live, get people excited, and make them get out there and vote. So speaking of get out the vote, that's how you'll spend the afternoon. Go live on Facebook, like I was saying. Send out texts to supporters. If you personally wanted to text people that you wanted to definitely make sure got out there and vote, feel free to do so. You can also use the texting channels that we were talking about in the last chapter. So just more of what we were talking about the last chapter. Really, it's the last opportunity to hit the GOTV hard, whether you're going door to door, calling people, texting people. Maybe your campaign is large enough that you have a large army of volunteers that are out there working on GOTV. If that's the case, it's your job to either join them right there by their side or to be out there like rallying them up. Make sure to be inspiring the troops, so to speak. Ask supporters to do shout outs. This is what we talked about in the social media platform. So you can get volunteers to go live on Facebook or to create like a buddy system of sorts where they reach out to like 5 to 10 friends that they're responsible for making sure that they voted. It's that like social pressure aspect that we were talking about before. And by 8 p.m., maybe it's 9 or maybe it's 7 in your area, it kind of varies across the country, then your polls will close. So then we need to start thinking about election night party. So let's talk about that. So first, before you head to the election night party, just give yourself a second to rest up for a bit. I know your adrenaline's going to be through the roof. This is such a huge day for you, and you're not going to be able to sit still. I get it, but try and force yourself to, even if it's just for like 1 hour. Force your spouse, your best friend, your campaign manager, whomever, force them to make them force you to sit in a room, no phone. Maybe have like your favorite movie that's like ready to play, or some old episodes of 30 Rock or Parks and Rec, something funny and silly, maybe your favorite music or whatever, and just have like a chill out for like 1 hour if you can. And obviously your campaign manager, your spouse, or whoever will be there to relay a message if something crazy urgent comes across, but try and give yourself that hour. And then for the election night party itself, go back and review what we talked about for hosting the kickoff party and hosting fundraisers. Same idea there, same things that we talked about. Keep the program, short and sweet, and we'll talk about the speech here in a second, which is the main part of that program. Food and drink, simple, self-serve. You don't need to worry about buying too much stuff for this party. It's the end of the campaign. Going to be strapped for cash to do any of that anyway. A bar or a restaurant is really good for this because it's going to be at night. It's going to go pretty late. That's why I like someplace with a bar is best because they're probably already staying open kind of late. Decorating the place, go tacky, go over the top, just do it big. Red, white, blue, balloons, streamers, tons of signs, like go over the top, make it super festive. This might be the only time that you guys do this. So make sure to go big. It's kind of your last hurrah for the campaign. Before the election night party, you want to have 2 speeches and 1 like talking point script prepared. The 2 speeches, 1 if you win, 1 if you lose, obviously, and it's not going to feel good to write the 1 if you lose, but have it ready, or at least have someone on your campaign write something for you, because you got to have it. Look at our girl Hillary Clinton. Talk about not expecting to lose, and she didn't have a concession speech written. She just flat out didn't write one. I mean, none of us thought she was going to lose. Donald Trump didn't think she was going to lose. But he's an idiot, so he probably thinks all kinds of weird shit. So then that's it for election night party. So let's talk about what to do if you win and what to do if you lose. Oh, sorry, one other quick, I didn't say, so for concession call script, so you got your 2 speeches, and then for the concession call script, basically, if you lose, and we'll talk about that in a second, you have to call the other candidate and congratulate them for winning, and you have to concede to them. It's how it's done. You have to do it. You just have to do it. And we'll talk about the reasons for that in a second. But you have to have a script written out for yourself. You might be kind of emotional. You might be kind of overwhelmed, not quite thinking the right way if you've lost this race that you've poured your heart and soul into. So it's best to have something written so you can know exactly what you want to say and get the words out. It can be short, it can be sweet, but you want to have it written out. Okay, so now let's move on to what to do if you win and what to do if you lose. So we'll jump into if you win in the next lesson. Thanks.